Hi, I'm here together with Amour, Lisimbu, and Zynga, and I wanted her to share with you today, since many of you saw her recently during our New Moon gathering. I wanted her to share today some of her experiences in life
Mhm.
as a girl and as a young woman growing up and so forth. Was it that brought you, Amor, to this point where you are following the Lord in this area of dealing with women and babies at risk at birth? So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so hi, my name is Amour Lisimbu Zynga. I will probably just start by saying that, I'm originally from the Congo, so the Democratic Republic of Congo. So I was born in Congo. And I left Congo when I was about 8, 9 years old. To go to England, but I didn't go straight to England. I stopped first in Kenya and then to England. So leaving Congo as a child and then, finding myself in Kenya, I think that's when, as a teenager, and I also come from a Christian family. So then, we've always known how to, if I can say, a religious Christian family, where we know how to go to church and we knew that we had to serve the Lord. So I've always grown up in the things of the Lord, but I didn't really experience God for myself until I was grown up. I remember being 15 or 14 and saying to the Lord, I don't want to serve you when I've run out of options in life, when I've destroyed my life, and you're like the last person or the last thing that I kind of go and find rescue from. But I knew all this time that I wanted to serve the Lord, and I wanted to serve the Lord being young. So then we leave Congo. So I leave my native country. I moved to Kenya, then to England. So in England, I've done my studies there, university, got married. So I had my first child in Kenya. In England, in London. Everything was fine. Then I think 3 or 4 years, no, 5 years into my marriage, I began to have, no, actually, 5 years into my marriage, I began to feel this calling. I would literally be at work, and I used to work for the government. So then, we were on the first floor. On the ground floor, there was a library. I would literally feel like I have to go into the library, find the Bible, and begin to read. It was just like this urge, but I couldn't stop it. It was beyond myself. So then that's when I really began to feel the Lord calling me, and begin to read the Bible, begin to look for the Lord for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember watching God TV. I watched God TV a lot. So I would watch God TV, all the different preachings and teachings and conferences. And I would also go to church. But I was developing this knowledge of God by myself. It wasn't in church. I didn't get what I know today from church. It was just me seeking the Lord by myself.
Sure.
And I remember one time, this is even how I got to know you, Alan. Watching God TV one time, and I see this man on TV. He's got this white hair and he's got this flowery top, and it was Chuck Pierce, and I actually didn't know him. And I'm watching God TV, and he's preaching. I think it was one of the head of the year conferences, and and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. So I'm not watching it because I want to watch it. I'm feeling that the Lord say, watch this. So
Yeah.
when I finished watching that conference, I go to bed. I think I was having a nap in the afternoon, and I hear an audible voice telling me, Amor, I want you to follow this man's ministry. Literally heard it like that. Follow. And then I realized that this man was called Chuck Pierce. I actually did not know him. And that's when I began to follow Glory of Zion, onwards. This is like 2008 or 9
Yeah.
until this day. And this is how I got to know you from that. So then from those experiences, I just began to seek the Lord by myself, and, just like being curious and digging into the word. And, and I've always been attracted to the prophetic. So there's just this thing in me that just wanted to understand how God speaks and how to understand the voice of God and all of that. So then all this time in London, bearing in mind, my husband actually grew up in Belgium and I grew up in London. So then he came to London in 1999, and that's when we met. So then my husband literally stayed in London for 10 years, and then we moved to Belgium. So then fast forward, we are in 2008, and I have this vision that we're going to move to Belgium. And I'm telling my husband, oh no, I don't like Belgium. You know, it's small. There's small-minded people. I don't like that, and this and that, and the store closes early, and I don't like that, and all of that. So then finally, my husband, I don't know how it happened, he finally moved to Belgium for his job. So then we decided as a family that we're going to move to Belgium. And I didn't want to really. And I kept saying, oh, we're going to wait for Joshua. This is my firstborn. Wait for him to finish school. So my husband left before us and used to, commute from Belgium to London. So that's really how. And why am I saying giving you all these countries? It's just to tell you how the Lord will direct your path. And, if he has to move you from one place to another for him to accomplish what he has for you, he will do. So then all this time I've grown up in England, and then I meet my husband, we get married, we're still in England, and then God had a plan. And my children were going to be born in this two premature babies. My two premature children were going to be born in Belgium.
Right.
Why? Only God knew why. So then my husband moves first, and then this is 2011, and October 2011, that's when I come to visit him in Belgium, and I have that dream that I explained, that I had the baby detach itself from the placenta coming up to my throat and, kind of wanting to come out, and I had to swallow it in my dream. And I actually had that dream in Belgium, not in London, and I was visiting. So then I visited Belgium again in December. I had not moved to Belgium yet. We were planning to move in June, because I was going to give birth in I think it was April 2012, but my child came out in January 2012. So
Okay.
then visiting again in December, that's when we received the prophetic word that the Lord spoke to my pastor, saying that we're going to go through a hard time, but he was going to be with us. And the day of my son's dedication, that we should wait for that day. So we knew that regardless of what we were going through, that death and those, we're literally in the fire, but God was telling us, I'll be with you in the fire, and then there will come that time of the dedication. So we knew that regardless of what had happened in the hospital, our child would leave, because God said the day of this dedication. So then December, I'm on holiday, and I'm supposed to leave in January, and I go for this consultation, and I find out that I couldn't actually leave the hospital, and that's how I moved to Belgium. I was stuck in hospital, and that's how I actually moved to Belgium. It's as if the Lord was telling me, whether you like it or not, this is it. You're starting here. And
Now
fast forward.
Amour, let me ask you something then.
Mm-hmm.
Before you go further, why do you think that the Lord went to so much trouble to get you to Belgium when you didn't really want to go there?
I think the place you hate the most, that's just me. The place you hate the most is you literally have a solution for something there, and that's why you don't want to go there. That's maybe just one of my crazy answers. But I think if I have to look at it spiritually, it had something to do with my roots. And this is the country that colonized my people, and there was something, I still haven't figured it out. But I believe it had something to do with my roots. It had something to do with how life, even how the Belgian people had taken so much from my people. It's like, something was taken, and God said I can restore. Because I'm just wondering, why here? I could have given birth in England and then moved to
Sure.
Belgium.
Sure.
So why did the Lord, and God prepared this, because I was in one hospital, and in that hospital, I felt like death was following me. And I
Yeah.
had to actually tell the doctors, I'm leaving. And I remember sitting there, closing my eyes and asking the Lord, what am I doing here? And the Lord said, get out of this hospital. This is with my first premature baby. And I left the hospital, and 1 week later, I had the baby in another hospital. And there I felt the Spirit of God and the presence of God. Even the people were like, they were just ready to receive us.
The before you came to Belgium, as even as a small girl growing up in
Hmm.
Congo and also Kenya,
Hmm.
did you have positive or negative feelings about Belgium? Was Belgium at all in your consciousness? It was years removed from being the Belgian Congo. That was in the
Hmm.
60s. But was that a part of anything, or is that simply something in a remote past of your country?
Well, I think I knew that we were colonized by the Belgians. I mean, one of the things I just remembered that Leopold, the king of Belgium, used to say, Congo is my back garden.
Right.
He kind of, yeah, that's why he used to say, Congo is my back garden, it's my backyard, it's my back garden, it's mine, as if we were this um, riches that he found and we belong, and this people belong to a structure or his authority. That's all I knew, but
Yeah.
I don't recall. Um, I just remember saying that, oh, I wish we were colonized by the French, something like that. Because there was just something weird about the Belgian people. Even the French that they speak in Belgium and the French spoken in France is different. They even have different words. And I was like, oh, I just wish we were colonized by the French. They're more open, and this Belgium is already, they're divided as a people.
Yeah.
We have the
Right.
Belgian, we have the French speaking Wallons, and then we have the Dutch speaking. So in their DNA, and if we go back to the roots of Belgium, they're not even a country. They didn't
Right.
exist. They were kind of co-created or co-made with the Germans. So then it's just a people that just like boom came out of nowhere and then decided to go and take on a huge country that is 10 times the size of their country
Right. And
or even
make it
more.
and own it. Make it their own.
And own it, yes. So I'm like, wow, what kind of stronghold is this? And what kind of superpower did this country believe that it had to be able to take over? It's like a very tiny country that says, oh, I'm going to take up America.
Sure.
It's a bit strange, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it is a bit strange, but it was a part of history, that's for sure. Now,
Exactly. Yeah.
now, your oldest, your son, oldest
Hmm.
son, was born completely. Everything, the birth process was normal. Let's call it correct.
Yes. My first child was born 8 months, well, 2 weeks before his due date. So it was, I think, 38 weeks. So that's a
Okay,
normal
so
baby,
full
a
term.
full term baby. Yeah.
What did you have any? When was the first time you had any indication or thought that your next child would be born premature and so premature?
Well, I didn't. I mean, like any woman carrying, a child or being pregnant, you know that you're pregnant to deliver full term. You will never ever think. I didn't have any health issues, but I do remember that while being pregnant with my first son, the midwife at some point, I think on the third scan or something like that, said, "Oh, madam, I think this child will come early." And I remember saying, no, it won't come early. It will be a full-term baby, and I just brushed it off like that. But I didn't have, I've never had any serious health issues. I'm pretty healthy. I don't drink, I don't smoke. I'm just a normal person, with a healthy lifestyle. So no, I didn't think that there was going to be anything actually. And but I remember on my uh, when I was actually pregnant with my second child, the Lord spoke through my husband. And then we were having a prayer morning. We were praying one morning, and my husband, I think, really under the Spirit of the Lord, he said something like, the Lord is telling me that He's going to give you a second child. And with this second child, you will know that God is with you, Emmanuel. So I even say to myself, I think it's going to be a girl. So if it's a girl, I'm going to call her Emmanuel. Just that was the only indication that I had, for this prematurity. Well, not prematurity, just knew that I was going to have a second child, that God was
Yeah.
going to give me a child. And, whatever happens, we will know that God was with us. And the kind of indication that I had was, is God with us, Emmanuel? So I'm going to call her Emmanuel if it's a girl. Well, I was convinced that it was going to be a girl.
So all during this time, your God is indicating certain things to you, and you're
Mhm.
interacting with God over this, but how would I say it? Things still had yet to become as intense as they would become. Okay,
Exactly. Yeah.
let's stop right there, and then we'll create another segment. Okay, we'll go on.
Okay.